What's up guys and welcome in. In today's video, I'll be talking about what it takes to make a good build, how to put it together, what you need to go through, what steps you need to take in order to make a decent build in Destiny 2 currently. But also, I'm hoping that this will convert over to Prismatic once we have it. Prismatic is going to change a lot of things because there's going to be exotic class items now. With Prismatic, you're going to be able to mix and match different subclass aspects and fragments, which is going to be really cool. And then the exotic class piece, you're actually going to be able to mix and match two exotic armor piece perks that aren't even necessarily from like a hunter's exotic piece. He might be able to run the Symphoceps exotic perk on his class item and another one, which is just kind of crazy. So it's going to make all this stuff that I'm talking about even more important, about figuring out what works with what helps what, where you need more healing, where you need more whatever it is. I think everybody's going to be chasing those random rolls on exotic class items, but for the most part, this should still be the bare bones of how to make a build in Destiny 2. And if for some reason some of these steps don't work in the final shape, then I'll make an update to this. So this is going to be very general. It should work for any class, but for me, I want to make a new Strand Warlock with Swarmers. So the first thing you need to do is select your class, Warlock here, and then select your subclass, and I'm going to be using Strand, and then select your exotic armor, and I'm going to be using Swarmers. And if you don't have that exotic armor, you can go farm the legendary Lost Sector on the correct day. In order to find out exactly what day and what Lost Sector you should farm, you can use todayindestiny.com. Here we got todayindestiny.com, and as you can see here, it says the Lost Sector is Chamber of Starlight for the next 20 hours. Overload Unstoppable, Solar Threat, Solar and Void Shields, and it can give you boots, including Swarmers, which I don't have right now, so I'm going to go farm that. Just never really had a priority to get them, but now I want them. So here we go. Okay, I was super lucky. Got it first try. Sometimes that might take you 10 tries, 20 tries. I don't know. I don't know how I got it first try, but I did. The other easy way to get the armor that you need is it might be in this armor here with Mara Sov. I forgot the Swarmers was, but luckily I got it on my first try, so I didn't have to spend my wish token on that. And so the roll I got on it is pretty even stats, which is okay. I'm going to head over to the tower, and now that I have it in collections, I can focus it from Raoul and hope to get some better stats. So for the Swarmers build, I'm looking for resilience and discipline, I think, to help with get more grenades, get more threadlings. So I'll focus this with discipline, I think. So in order to do that, I'll put on my shell, discipline, armorer. Then I'll head over to Raoul. Only got one exotic Ingram, but go over. Now I have Swarmers here. And you can grab it. Hopefully I got a better roll. No, not really. Probably stick with the original one. But once I get more exotic Ingrams, I can just come here and focus it now on Swarmers, now that I have it unlocked in my collections. The next thing we need to do is figure out the abilities, aspects, and fragments of our build. So don't even worry yet about putting armor on. First, we need to figure out this stuff. So for the abilities, I'm going to want Healing Rift. Needle Storm's the only ultimate for this right now. With other builds, you'll have other ultimates to choose from, so you have to choose from, do I want high damage? Do I want crowd support? Do I want healing? Those different types of things you'll have to figure out. With Broodweaver right now, there's only one, so it's high damage, and that's all we got. So for the abilities, I'm going to go with a Healing Rift. I'm going to go with a Balanced Glide. Arcane Needle's the only melee option, and then I'm going to go with Threadling Grenades, so I have more Threadlings with Swarmers. Then I'm going to lean into Threadlings with Weaver's Call, and I'm going to go with Mind Spun Invocation to help enhance my Threadlings. So now I can get perched Threadlings. So basically, I'm just building a Threadling army build. So anything that can help me get more Threadlings. So discipline for grenades, or these different aspects to get me more grenade energy. So then fragments, I'm looking for kind of the same thing. Like, give me more grenades. I know some of these fragments are getting changed soon, but this is just for the next couple weeks, and then I'll revisit this build. So Threat of Warding, which gives Woven Mail on orb pickup. Threat of Generation, dealing damage, generates grenade energy, which will help us get more Threadlings. Probably switch this one out. So right now I'm just reading through all these to remember exactly what they do and figure out which ones exactly help me the most. Oh yeah, definitely Thread of Evolution. Threadlings travel farther and deal additional damage. And then Thread of Rebirth. Strand weapon final blows have a chance to create a Threadling. So just going full on Threadling with this build. That's the goal. Just have tons and tons of Threadlings. I'm reading and looking for that stuff particularly. In other subclasses, I know there's some particular things, like with Void. Even if you're building into super high damage, you probably still want to get Devour or things like that. So now that we've got the aspects and fragments selected, and we know which armor we're going to use, which exotic armor we're going to use, we can move over to d2armorpicker.com. This is by far my favorite resource for builds and crafting this stuff and making it all work together, figuring out the best armor stats, all that stuff. It does all the hard work. I don't have to keep track of what gear I have. I can just put it all into the system, and it tells me what to wear, what to equip, and it equips it for me. Once you log in to D2 Armor Picker and merge it with your Bungie account and all that stuff, you can go up here to character selection. I'm on my Warlock, so I click Warlock, and then don't worry about the stats yet. You can skip that for now. Just scroll right on down. This section right here, mod optimization strategy, this is pretty important. I like to do fewer mods, high cost. Basically, the fast right here or slow tells you how long it takes for them to come up with what gear to wear. It's always fast, so slow is fine. So I like to use fewer mods when possible so I can have space for other types of mods. So this right here too is important. Add mods to reduce wasted stats. This helps, so if you're like at 59 intellect on one build, if you select this, it'll just get rid of that build and it'll tell you to use something else. So then we select our exotic armor. For right now, I'm going for Swarmers. Need to reload this so it knows I have Swarmers. All right, now I have Swarmers. And select that. And then keep on going down to the stat boost selection. So we go to Strand. We go back to figure out exactly what we picked. We got Warding, Generation, Evolution. Those are the ones with the stats. Warding, Generation, Evolution. So those will take into account these pluses and minuses of your stats. And now we can go back up and look at our armor. Also, in particular, if you want to use a certain type of armor, you can do it in here. You can tell it to only use the new season's armor. I apparently don't have any. So now it'll only let me use Ascendant Protector armor in my gloves, and it'll only do calculations for that. But I'm going to leave this wide open. Just let it pick whatever armor. Then we go back up to the top. I always run 100 resilience for that 30% damage resistance. I'm going for high discipline, so I select that next. So if your gear's not 100, or it's even, you can't even get 100 resilience or something, then I would really strongly suggest go farm up the Riven Vendor, which is here in the helm. Go through this door here and talk to this big scary dragon lady, and you can get some armor. You go to focusing, and then next page over. These are all pretty high stat, so you just want to remember to make sure you have whichever thing that you're trying to focus. So for here I have discipline. I want some higher discipline helmets, so here I go. Let me grab a couple helmets. Let me see what I got with one. Look at that. Super high recovery, super high discipline. That's pretty good. I'd rather have it be discipline resilience, but still pretty good. Let me grab one more, see what that one is. High recovery, high discipline. Again, that one's actually pretty good. A little bit more resilience. So you can get a bunch of these. Let me get some gloves. Let me get some chest. I'll get 2 of those. Those are all high discipline. That one's really good. This one's really, really good, actually. The least you can have in any category is 2. So I want resilience, recovery, discipline. So there's 2, 2, 2 in mobility, intellect, and strength. So this is as good as I can get, basically. Then chest piece, not great. That one's terrible. That one's my best option there. Lock that one. Whoa, that's a crazy one. Keeping that one. All right, so now I got some good gear. Let's go back over to D2 Armor Picker. We'll refresh this, see if it went up at all. It went up a little tiny bit. So with all that armor, I just got 10 more recovery, which is really good. After recovery, I'm gonna go strength next, then intellect, then mobility. And I have a bunch of choices here, and I'm gonna go with this top choice. Need to masterwork those 2 in that. Need to masterwork 3 on this one. This, if it's gold border, it's already masterworked. 3 on that one. So I'm going to go with the one I only need to masterwork 2 pieces of armor with. So then I'm going to take this and I'm going to now equip these items. Hit that button right here. Now all those items were just magically equipped onto me. And now if I look at the armor picker, it tells me which mods to use. I need 2 resilience mods, 1 large recovery mod, and 1 small recovery mod, and 1 discipline mod. I have a ton of Glimmer and Legendary Shards, so I'll just upgrade all this stuff. Go, Masterwork my new Swarmers. I'll leave that one there, actually. Here's a full recovery mod. We'll do a resilience mod here, and I can remove a discipline and put on a recovery somewhere right here. So there we go. We got 100, 160, decent stats. Now that we got the armor all selected and the general armor mods in place, now we can look at armor mods and weapons. So because of Thread of Rebirth, I'm going to want to use strand weapons. You're going to want to check your fragments and aspects. Make sure if you have something that points you towards a certain weapon type, you're going to want to use that weapon type or pick a different fragment. Since this has strand weapon final blows, create a threadling, then I want to use strand weapons as much as possible. So then I'll go with a strand siphon here, harmonic siphon. And I'm going to go with Ashes to Assets because my threadlings should be getting a lot of kills and that should give me a lot of energy. And then heavy ammo finder. So you're just you're looking at all these things, trying to figure out what helps you. On the gloves then, we're looking for more grenade energy. So causing damage with the powered melee attack reduces grenade energy. That'd be great. Your powered melee final blows create orbs of power. Maybe. Your grenade final blows create orbs of power. Firepower grants class ability when you cause damage with grenade, which could be good for this because you put your class ability down and you get threadlings out. Let's go with the harmonic loader just to make reloading easier and faster. On the chest piece, I like to do resistances, and that's just about it. If I'm in really easy content, I'll go and throw on a bunch of reserves, but it just depends on the content. For the boots, I always like recuperation to give a little health back, makes things a little easier. And then since I'm using strand weapons, I'm going to go with a strand weapon surge. And then to get grenades back a little bit faster, I'm going to go with innervation. So leaning a bit more into that grenade stuff. So if I was doing melee stuff, I'd probably go with the melee. If I was really not tanky at all, I would go with some more heals with better already. And then on the class item, we got 1 bomber, reduces grenade cooldown, same thing. Going for grenades. And then I really like a time dilation if I'm using surges, which I am using 1 surge here, to increase the surge DK length. And then I'm going to be popping a bunch of rifts, so powerful attraction makes sense. If you're using your class ability a lot, this helps you gather in orbs and just get more energy. So that's the basics of how I go about the mods, how I go about thinking through this stuff. And now, so I look at the weapons, I really need to pick a strand weapon. There's a couple options of good strand weapons. Wishkeeper's one. And what you can do is open up dim, test in your item manager, which I really love. And you can just type in strand here. Strand weapons. Boom. And then it highlights all the strand ones. So I'm probably looking for an exotic up here, either the Wishkeeper, the Quicksilver Storm, or Final Warning. I'm going to go with Quicksilver Storm for this, but I also, if I want to suspend things more, I would switch to Wishkeeper. This is one of my favorite strand weapons, so that's what I'm going to use. And then I'll go look at the heavy strand stuff, which I'll go with this strand machine gun, the Marcato. It has slice and surrounded, which is really solid. Throw on boss spec on my heavy. There you go. And then for the other weapon that's not a strand, I can't have a strand energy weapon. I'll probably go with something that can clear ads or do a lot of damage. So like a fusion rifle or a sniper rifle, a shotgun even. And I think I'm going to go with the Cartesian, which can do a lot of damage really fast. Good solid fusion rifle to take care of majors. So there we go. And now I'll just upgrade my gear, make sure it's all 1810 or whatever the highest light level I can get. You can also just test it out before you masterwork this stuff. I just like gold borders. So that's like the basic premise of getting a good build with good stats, with good armor, with all the stuff you want. And now I basically will just jump into an activity, test it out. It doesn't always have to be in that order either. Sometimes I'll find a cool weapon that I just want to build a whole build around, and I'll take it from there. So if there's some specific exotic weapon that does some specific thing, I'll just lean into that. So if it causes things to ignite, then I'll lean into solar and ignitions. Or in some cases, you don't have to choose one lane. You can choose 2 lanes. You can kind of go and do an all-around build that does everything pretty well. But the thing that I really like is I really like leaning into one thing. Like if it's for staying alive in GMs, then I'm just leaning full into staying alive, whether that's through overshields, invisibility, healing, whatever it is. Or if it's for just massive explosions, then I'm just doing as much incandescent and ignitions as I possibly can. That's how I like to have fun in the game and how I like to build my builds. Also, the final part, my guy looks terrible right now. That looks a little bit better. Doesn't look great. The swarmers are kind of strange to build around, but there we have it. Now let's go jump into what quest do I got. Final wish here. This isn't a very difficult activity, but it's just something to test the build with. I'll probably go in here, tweak it around a bit in this kind of content, and then take it into something harder like a Master Nightfall or Grandmaster or Legend Lost Sector or something like that. One thing I'm feeling right now is I would like more healing. I do think I want to up my Rift regen, and I'll go ahead and just tweak that right now. Here are my gloves. Instead of this reloader, I'll go grants class ability when you cause damage with a grenade. Alright, yeah, I'll just do that one change for now and see how it feels. See if I get more rifts. And then I think I'm going to get rid of the Ashes to Assets so I can do a recovery mod on here and put a discipline mod on my legs and do 2 strand surges just to make space there. So I still have 100, 60, 100. So yeah, so I tweaked it. Now I feel pretty good about the build. Maybe I'll try to solo a Legend Nightfall, or I don't know, Master Nightfall. It depends on how good I'm feeling about the build. Let's just do a Legendary Nightfall solo. See how it feels. And then I'll kind of just work my way up from there with the build. Alright, so I just ran a Legendary Nightfall and didn't really love the build, so I'm going to keep tweaking. But this is just a baseline of how you can get your good stats, how to think about the mods, how to think about the weapons, and I'll keep tweaking it around. Also, just reading through the exotic, I want to make sure I'm making more tangles, things like that. So I have an understanding of how things can stack on each other, how you can just build into certain aspects of your build. That really helps. I hope this video was helpful for you, for new players, for people getting into build crafting. Instead of just copying every YouTuber's build, start making your own, start experimenting with stuff. Keep on gaming. Peace.